The Global Latin Factor Podcast.
Welcome to the Global Latin Factor Podcast. The Global Latin Factor Podcast, where we talk about Latino everything. That's right. If you've ever been curious about learning about Latinos, if you're a Latino and just a little bit lost, don't know much about your culture, been wanting to know, this is the perfect place. And if you know somebody that is interested, or if you're not a Latino and wanted to learn more, this is the perfect place to be. So also go ahead and share that video or that link to the podcast to anybody that you might think is interested in learning more about Latino culture, and different things like that. Big shout out going out to the ones that already subscribed, new subscribers. We appreciate it very much. And continue to subscribe, like, comment, let us know where we at so we can continue to make these kinds of videos. They are educational regarding Latino content, so you can know more about the beautiful contributions that we've done in this world and everything that we have contributed. You'll be surprised to learn what things Latino community has contributed to the world. Olivia, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
So you might be wondering, what is going on? Like, why you guys is dressed like that? If you remember from the last episode, we said closer to Halloween, we're going to be dressing like the Llorona.
Mm-hmm. She's scary.
She's scary. Look at her. Are you serious? This is like really good. If you want a costume, that's like A1. And I'm, of course, the Catherine. Catherine pretty much just dressed kind of fancy, successful. I got my cane. Mr. Board Operator, can you send me my cane? Oh, sorry about that. I forgot this baby right here.
I've been scaring my tias all day.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
I see why. I really can see why. Okay. So during the filming of this episode, we're still going through what's called Hispanic Heritage Month, which is from September 15 to October 15. So each year here in America, we observe the National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15 to October 15. We celebrate Americans that have contributed ancestors from Spain, Mexico, Caribbean, and Central America, South America, the contributions that they have here in the United States.
Yep. So the observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988. It covered a 30-day period starting on September 15th and ended October 15th.
So why they pick those dates, you might ask? Well, September 15th is real close to the anniversary. It is the anniversary of a lot of Latin American countries that celebrate their independence, such as Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Mexico, and Chile celebrate September 16. Also, during this period of time, we celebrate Columbus Day and Dia de la Raza, which is October 12th. And all those fall within this period of time, which is 30 days, which was made into law, as she mentioned. And now we have Hispanic Heritage. So if you didn't know what it was, Hispanic Heritage, we know is just because of the census back in 1968, 1970. And then, of course, you know, Latinos is all the people pretty much that speak Spanish, except for Brazilians, which speak Portuguese. I don't know why I said Brazilian last time, but that's what we're talking about. All right, so in this episode, we are going to cover, by the end of it, there's a lot of difference. There's a lot of differences and similarities when it comes to Halloween and when it comes to Dia de los Muertos. So a lot of people think it's the same thing. So by the end of this episode, you're going to be able to know the difference, the similarities, and also to distinguish why a lot of times it seems to be like, oh, wait a minute. Like, isn't that the same thing? Or why is it confused with one another? And I'll tell you all about that. All right. So tell me about Halloween.
Well, Halloween, also known as All Halloween or All Hallows Eve, or also All Saints Eve.
Yeah.
It's a celebration observed in many countries on the 31st of October. So the eve of the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day. So it begins the observance of All Hallow Tide, the time in the liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including saints, hallows, martyrs, and all the faithful departed.
Okay, so remembering the dead, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll talk about Dia de los Muertos here and see how all those tie together. What do you remember Halloween? Were you a big Halloween person? Did you celebrate that a lot? growing up?
Yeah, I did growing up. My mom, she used to make me a lot of costumes, homemade.
Used to make them. Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
She'd sew 'em.
What's the one that you remember the most?
I was really girly, so I'd like to be like princesses,
Yeah,
but I'd make up my own princesses.
that's cool. What was one that you made up? You remember one?
I don't remember the name, but she would just have me pick any colors, and I just put them together and call myself a princess.
That'd be dope, though. Just to go out and be trick or treating, and everybody just looking at you with princess you are trying to figure out. It's like just princess so and so.
Princess me.
Princess La Sirena. I used to trick or treat as well when I was a kid. Well, first of all, again, I got here when I was 11 years old, not knowing anything about Halloween whatsoever. And then one of my aunts he was more American than most of us, so she'll take us out. The first time I ever trick or treat, all I did was like paint my face, regular clothes, and I just knew that you showed up to people's doors and they give you candy. And you go home with a big old bag of candy for free by just knocking at the door. However, trick or treat. Okay, so way back in the days, we're gonna jump here and there, but the reason why it's trick or treat is because people used to go out to houses and either they used to steal doors or steal something, do something not malicious, but they play a trick on you. And in order to prevent that, you'll pay with candy or some kind of goods to try to prevent you from getting tricked on. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. And even the word itself, I like the origin of words, right? So how it became from Halloween, holiday, Hallow Eve, to Halloween. Kind of like us Latinos be doing it with the Spanglish. Parqueate es estacionarte. Troca es camioneta. All those words is just, it's not like an actual technical correct word, but it's like an everyday word that a lot of Latinos, Mexicans use now.
Yeah.
Hardly ever do you anybody say camioneta. You ever hear anybody say
troca.
camioneta? Exactly. All those things, So in theory, the tradition holds an influence all the way back to the Celtic Harvest Festival. And again, intermingle with the church. And before you know it, so the Celtics and all the people that were pagan had their own beliefs, but the church didn't want that. But at the same time, there was a lot of conflict, so they found a middle ground. So okay, we're not going to get rid of all the way of your pagan holiday, but we're going to go ahead and intertwine religion and Christianity and make it into Saints Day, where we celebrate even martyrs, saints, and things like that. So that's interesting to me. What do you think about that?
That's really interesting.
Right? Yeah. All right, tell me about the activities during Halloween. And again, I don't know, maybe if you're from the Americas, I apologize. From the Americas, you might know what Halloween is, but if there's somebody in another world that celebrates different, and it, like even if you're a Latino living somewhere else, never heard of it, speak English for whatever reason, and you're like, what do they do over there? Well, just going to tell you. What's up, Var?
And I'm going to scare you later.
You're scaring me right now. I swear, she looks spooky. She looks spooky.
So one activity is trick-or-treating. So during the Halloween parties and costumes, they have carving pumpkins that, you put in the jack-o'-lanterns, you light bonfires, apple bobbing. Have you ever done apple bobbing?
No, what is that exactly?
It's where you have like a barrel with water and you put apples in it and you try to...
I got you. Yep. I've seen that before.
I've never tried. I've been scared of just getting water up my nose.
Yeah, I feel like I look like a fool trying to do it. So I never done it. I seen it, but in school, but I never tried it.
We should try it on here.
Here, right now? All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to get a bucket. Just kidding. We're not allowed to have any water. There's no water here. I'm just pretending I'm sipping on air.
This is as close as it gets.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so funny story about that. Okay, so that's the ghosting and souling. So people used to go in way back in the days, used to go to houses, and it was kind of like Christmas caroling. So where they will ask if you want them to pray for your people that passed away, and people will pray or either sing, and the people in return will give them treats, will give them food and stuff like that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was such a thing. Like kind of like caroling, almost like Christmas caroling, when you go door to door, and then you want us to pray for your loved ones that passed away. You want us to sing, and then they'll give them candy in return, or probably some kind of sweet stuff or some kind of treat or something like that. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. And the fact that it intertwine, we're going to move on to the next one, that intertwine with the religion and all these just became one thing. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide with fun facts about Halloween. So tell me about a couple fun facts.
One fun fact is candy corn, which was originally called chicken feed. The Michael Myers mask is actually a William Shatner mask.
That is cool.
And the movie was actually filmed on such a tight budget that the crew used the cheapest mask they could find. So a $2 Star Trek Captain James Kirk mask. And they spray painted it white, reshaped the eye holes, making William Shatner look really creepy.
And you know what? I was thinking about it too. And he actually does kind of sort of look like a little bit like a deformed Shatner. Yeah. I was looking at it, like, I think it just from memory. I'm like, yo, it actually does look a little bit like homie.
I never thought about that.
Like he had a meltdown or something. Like he was super stressed. Yeah, after going to space and coming back. That is cool. Mm-hmm. So, and then the corn feed. So corn, like a corn grain, it looks like they give it to chickens at times. So it would make sense. And they kind of made it
the same color.
It looks kind of like that, right? So it kind of looks like a grain of corn. So it would make sense that they used to call it chicken feed. But us people, somebody probably, okay, so there's a lot of, okay, there's a lot of a reason why certain, like I seen a meme the other day, like a warning, like, oh, it was pizza. All right, pizza, right? It said, open box and consume pizza inside. And the person is like, I wonder what's the backstory behind that. I wonder what the backstory, exactly. I wonder what the backstory is in regards to chicken feed, right? Somebody must have either mistakenly started eating the actual feed of the chicken. It's like, no, we have to rename it because this fools are they're confusing themselves and eating the feed of the chicken instead of eating the actual candy we're giving them.
Because they do look the same.
I'm saying this is all my theory, and I think this is the reason why. All right, so how long has Halloween been around?
Well, Halloween's been around for 2,000 years. Trick-or-treating has existed since medieval times. Ooh, it's a long time
ago. It is a long time ago. All right. So the last episode, and this is a perfect time to tell the story. So you told me that you've seen ghosts before.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So this would be the perfect time for you to tell me the story or like what happened or how did it happen, if you don't mind.
Okay. I need to pull myself together.
You're like the Llorona. You're within the people. There's like
I'm the one scared today.
Yeah, okay.
But my story was at Six Flags. This is actually a true story. You can Google it. There's been ghost hunters that go out to Six Flags. They've been going out there for years.
Yeah.
There's apparently a ghost named Annie who roams around near Texas Giant. And then there's another one, the one that I saw also in Runaway Mountain. The story is, if you go on Runaway Mountain, so they have 3 trains.
Right.
If you get on the second one, because they're all numbered, if you get on number 2, sit in car 2, seat 2, that's when you have the biggest chance to see it.
And where do you see it, during the ride or at a particular point of time during the ride?
Well, I saw it during the ride because when I was there, I was actually working there about 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And we were about to open late, so I was, in a hurry trying to get the safety checks, making sure everything was good.
Right.
And I didn't realize what train had come up for me, to test ride. So, I just hopped in and I was like, let's go before, we open late. And then, the ride was going with the lights off, and all of a sudden I hear this loud growl in my ear. And I'm in there by myself, and I look.
There's nobody around.
There's nobody. The ride is going, it goes over 35 miles per hour. And it was right before a helix where it kind of spins down. It's about a little more than half the ride. But I heard a growl, and then I look, and I see this really tall figure with 2 eyes, spiky hair, but it was super tall. Taller than anybody I've never seen before.
It was a dream or you were asleep?
No. I cried. After I saw that, I started crying my eyes out. I started yelling. I kind of cussed at whoever was there. And I told them, get me off this ride, because I saw the claws. They were coming out at me. And the part where I was going in the helix right after that is the brake run where it slows you down, and that's where it was because it was right next to each other.
It's
So
not
I
part
just
of the
closed
ride
my
either.
eyes. No, because before they open, they do safety checks, test all the horns. Any little door that opens turns on the lights,
Right.
makes a horn go off. None of that happened because all the doors were locked. Nobody was there. But I'm not the only one who saw it.
What's the face look like? Like, was there a particular
It was just
distinction to a
really
face?
thin, just long and thin.
It looked like a person, like a girl, like a female?
It was a male.
It was a male? But why
Because
is the
they
name
had
Annie?
tall, spiky hair.
Why is the name Annie? Was that Annie or was that somebody else?
That wasn't Annie. Annie, I had a photo of her from when there were ghost hunters that went out to Six Flags once. And there's this little yellow stand. It's like a lemonade stand, but they also have other drinks there right in front of the entrance to Texas Giant. And if you look up, there's a window at the top. And the ghost hunters that have been there, they've said that room always stays cold. There's no AC in it, but it always stays cold. And they actually had a photo of her. And she was just a young girl. She had trenzas, little pigtails, and she was looking like this
Do
through
you
the
think
window.
she fell off the ride or it was way before
It
that
was
ride
way
got there?
before Six Flags was even made,
I bet
because
it
that
was a
area
tomb.
was a farm area.
Somebody got buried in the back of that farm.
Oh, they're there somewhere.
And then, it was a good, like, whenever they do hunting for ghosts and stuff, it was a good sign that there's going to be a ghost and it gets really cold.
Yeah.
It does, most
And
of the time.
there's
It's
one
getting cold
more.
in here.
Ooh. There's actually one more at the Southern Palace. It's supposed to be a male. I forgot his name, but luckily I didn't get to see him, but there it's been said that they find his wet footprints.
So
when you're by yourself.
So the one that you seen is that guy, and you don't know his name, the one with the spiky hair. You don't know.
No.
And then what is the other story that you see in Ghost?
Well, that one, the photo of Annie, she's actually the most popular that is on like Google or if you look it up anywhere. And then the man at Southern Palace. So those three
You've
are the
seen
ones.
the man in Southern Palace.
No, others have.
Oh, okay.
But luckily, because I didn't go on there much, so
Yeah. So you
thankfully.
think you're gifted with something? Because I don't know. Like we talked about last time, I don't know if it's some kind of something extra that people have that I'm okay with not having because I don't want to see no ghosts. I'm good with it. But you think you have something?
Nah,
Is
me,
this
I'm just not scared because I've already been through a lot and there's not really
Well, that
much
time that
that
do
scares
scare
me.
you. Well, except for that one time, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
except that one time. But after you see it the first time, you realize that they don't really want to harm you. They just want to be seen and I guess remembered.
I think, remember what I told you with like they don't want to. Well, first of all, I got a correction. I said that the Llorona went to the purgatory. She went to heaven, and in heaven, the pearly gate, she was rejected. One of the stories goes because, of course, she killed her kids, and then she got sent to hell or wherever. Apparently, it wasn't hell. It was purgatory, which would be in the middle, and that's where she roams around.
Crying.
And yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to see her either. I'm good with that. Okay, so remember part of the Halloween was to celebrate people that died. So some of the traditions as far as the why we wear masks and costumes is because supposedly during that time, which is October 31st to November 1st, it's October 30th, right? Or 31st? I'm tripping. How many days does this calendar have? 31st, 31, right? Why am I always have like a point that I don't have on point. Okay, so the 31st to the 1st is when the your dead loved ones come. So people used to put food outside during Halloween so they can eat. And then people used to wear masks so you can go outside and they can't tell that you're not a ghost. Oh. How you like that? That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So, all right, that's Halloween for you. Now, some of the similarities that they have as far as some of the differences they have as far as Halloween is that, of course, one major distinction is that Halloween is only one day, whereas Dia de los Muertos or Day of the Dead is actually 3 days. So it's the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd. And during this time of, again, crazy because both of them have one of them is here in the States with pagan religion and the Christian religion, and then the Aztecs and the Catholic Church is where the other story comes from. And you know how long ago Dia de los Muertos? So Halloween is about 2,000 years ago, somewhat. And Dia de los Muertos, guess how much? It's not on that power slide.
Is it less?
3,000. It's actually more. And it only makes sense because the Spaniards were populating the Aztec and all that area, Olmecs and all that, way before the Americas were starting to be populated by the colonizers, they call them. Makes sense, right?
Interesting.
So there's more people that were telling the story way back then. So, and we're going to go ahead and move to the next one. What do you know about Dia de los Muertos? That's the next one.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you know personally? And I'm going to tell you why you feel like you have, like you like and embrace the day off more than anything. I'm going to tell you what, but tell me what you know about it. Just by personal experience.
Well, my family, they've been celebrating it. I'm not sure how long, but as long as I know. So they actually have a whole celebration with cake and decorations, and they have a shrine with all, everyone who's passed, and they light candles and decorate it in the Dia de los Muertos.
And what time to what time they do that from? What days to what days?
Well, because they have so much, like so many decorations, they keep it out longer than the 3 days. So they actually start, I think, most of October, and then they keep it until the end of Dia de los Muertos, and probably just a few days after that.
So the Dia de los Muertos, real quickly. So the Day of the Dead, which is Dia de los Muertos, a holiday celebrated on the 1st and 2nd of November, originated and mostly observed in Mexico and also in other places, in other places, especially in Mexican heritage elsewhere, which is here in the States. And it could trace its history back to 3,000 years ago. So Halloween in Mexico is not the same thing as Dia de los Muertos. Actually, Halloween they kind of have a celebration. Mexico does celebrate Halloween, but it's actually Dia de las Brujas. It's not exactly the same holiday. It's not the holiday, but they do. It's not an actual holiday in Mexico. They just observe to it. They know the culture because we are so close to each other, right? A lot of the just like Dia de los Muertos has came here to the States. Same thing for Halloween and the customs that Americans here do take them back to the U.S. And of course, they do a little bit of something, because it's a cool thing to do to celebrate something like that. So tell me about the Dia de los Muertos originated from.
Well, it originated in ancient Mesoamerica, Mexico, and northern Central America, where indigenous groups, including Aztec, Maya, and Toltec, had specific times when they commemorated their loved ones who had passed away. So certain months were dedicated to remembering the departed based on whether the deceased was an adult or a child.
So November 1st is usually reserved to celebrating the kids for Dia de los Muertos. And I believe there's a little bit of a difference. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's kids that were not baptized or either kids that were baptized. But either way, kids in general, like little babies, is when November 1st is. And then the adults are celebrated for November the 2nd. Noviembre 2 es cuando se celebran los adultos y los niños el noviembre 1. So that's cool that they can separate the difference between one and the other as far as what it is. So although associated with the Catholic celebration All Saints Day, which again, same thing for the Halloween, All Souls Day, it is such less solemn and it's not like a holiday like it was. So same thing that happened with Halloween, right? So we have the Spaniards came with the Catholic religion. You have the Aztecs, Olmecs, and all them doing their thing. They're having a conflict. They can't really make them to all right, we're going to meet you halfway, right? We're not going to let all your cultures and everything go away. But at the same time, we're going to put our spin on it. So this is what we're going to do. Okay? And that's the reason why I can see you see how the confusion is, the similarities, why sometimes people think Halloween and the other ones is kind of like the same, because a lot of the history is real close to the same, where it's all Saint Days, Souls Day, all that, it just kind of intertwines with each other. And then that's the reason why you get all this confusion of like, is one and the other. And no, it's not the same thing. It's slightly different with real close similarities as to what they are. And I think it's pretty cool because it only makes sense that we're so close to each other as neighbors that a lot of the times those things are going to happen. Yeah. And the conquerors or the colonizers, or wherever you want to, the Europeans will from Europe going to the Americas from Spain, did their part. And then the Europeans from other countries, Germany, Ireland, all them came to that. And of course, they brought their own customs and beliefs, and it wasn't the same. So, of course, you're going to see a little bit of difference, but pretty much it's real close to the same, but it's not the same. All right. So what else do we do as far as the traditions?
Well, another one is a multi-day holiday that involves family and friends gathering to pay respects and to remember friends and family members.
Okay, so when I was a little kid, I remember, I got here when I was 11, so remember, I just, for whatever reason, can't remember much of those things, but I remember my grandma, both of my grandmas. First, you have to clean the house really nice. Like, your house has to be extra clean. One of my grandmas, she used to have everything brand new. Everything brand new on the ofrenda. They call it ofrenda, which is the one you said where they put the shrine. Mm-hmm. We call it's the ofrenda. That's what they call it. And they put whatever loved one you had that passed away, you'll have their favorite dish there, along with additional stuff. So you have your mole, you have your tamales, you have your arroz con leche, your frutas, fresh fruit, all that gets put there for them to. Again, this is what happens. So their belief is that the dead come and visit at that time to your house. Not only that, but a lot of it just depends on what area you are in Mexico. A lot of other people in certain areas of Mexico actually go to the cemetery and spend the night and clean up. First of all, you got to clean the if you don't visit the whole year, you go and clean up the tomb really good. Like, get all the weeds out. Yeah, really clean. You decorate it. And if you never seen Coco, have you seen Coco?
Yes, okay. I love Coco.
Picture Coco as being real close. Like, if you stop paying attention to the main characters and look from the outside of everything else that's going on with the flowers, the cempasúchil and all that flower that is the flower they use during that time, cempasúchil. It has its own unique smell, and it smells so good. It smells really good. So they do that because supposed to be lighten the path, like Coco talked about, and all that. All that is real stuff. They got that part right, as far as what they use it for.
They did a really good job getting all the points.
Give you a different perspective, and not only that, but Coco was a big movie, and it brings awareness to the global Latin factor, which is the Latinos, and how our customs are brought into, the everyday life and mainstream, to know what Dia de los Muertos is. And this is not the only movie. There's been other movies. Bloody and Blowed Out, Bound by Honor. Remember, they have a little scene when they're about to. Have you seen Bloody and Blowed Out ever?
I saw some of it.
Okay, so in one of the scenes right before they go a big riot, they pass a scene in California where they're having some kind of parade, and you can see some of the Sugar Skull people just dancing and having their parade and walking through. So that's pretty cool. And there's many movies that make references to Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
And on one of them, it said that the reason why Mexico now has like a parade, official Dia de los Muertos parade. And the reason why they did it is because they were influenced by movies from Hollywood. That's crazy.
Really?
Right? Yeah. I saw one of the videos that said that it was something like that. So the tradition, again, connect with holidays include decorating calaveras, which is the sugar skulls, Aztec, marigold, which is the cempasúchil, and also, again, the ofrendas, which is the altars with the favorite food ever. And tell me again, in regards to in 2008, what happened?
In 2008, the tradition was inscribed in the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO.
Okay, so we talked about that last time, right? So pretty much what they do, just like Cumbia, is that their organization that things that are not tangible, like touchable stuff, they make it to where it's so valuable for that culture that they have to put it in there to keep it alive. Such as Dia de los Muertos, Cumbia was one. All these are put in there, and it's crazy to me that they do that. that they're think this day is so important to us, which it is for the culture, and they keep it alive and they made it that. Okay, so maybe it was when I was a kid, right? But anytime the ofrenda, of course, as a kid, you just like want to eat the food, and you see all this beautiful food there, and it's all ready to go, but you can't touch it because you have to wait till they do it.
You get slapped.
But I don't know if it was my imagination or me. I felt like supposedly they come in and take all the nutrients. People have stories that they say that even the food doesn't taste the same because after you're done with the ofrenda and the day has passed, we can go ahead and eat the food, right? So supposedly the ghosts come, or our not ghosts, but our loved ones come back to revisit and eat the nutrients you can't really see. But me and my cousins used to be like, man, that was more full. Like, nah, that was like, it was more full than that. Like, yeah, they came and drank. Stuff like that. I swear I used to remember. I used to think about that and see if I can see a little difference. And sometimes, maybe it was just me as a kid, I felt like it was like the food itself was like actually a little bit of was gone.
Did you ever see like a whole bite?
I didn't see a whole bite, but it's very, very very small, noticeable. But I felt like maybe it was just my imagination because I was young, but it felt like the food was less than when we first put it up. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe there's something behind it, but I felt like it was real.
So ghosts get hungry.
I don't know if we call them ghosts. Well, I guess they would be ghosts, but our loved ones that passed away would come and do that. Yeah. One of my tias usually does this too. She does put the ofrenda. I think she's one of the only ones that does it in the family that still keeps it alive. Because my grandmother passed away years ago. She was a firm believer in it.
So was mine.
And she used to do it often in the ofrenda. And I think it was pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that she liked that. Tell me a couple of countries in the Americas they observe this day.
A couple countries are Costa Rica and Ecuador.
So Belize, Bolivia, Brazil, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guatemala, Peru, of course, here in the U.S., in California, even in Asia, and in Europe.
Wow.
That's wild.
They're
right?
everywhere. But not Australia.
No, I don't think it's
Australia.
Australia.
We should go start it.
Yeah, we should just go ahead and do a parade just in the middle.
With kangaroos.
All right, tell me a couple fun facts.
One fun fact, in the celebration of life, not death, as a part of life cycle and a reminder of our mortality, it is customary to visit cemeteries, clean and decorate the tombs of the deceased, and different traditions exist in different parts of the country.
Yeah. So, again, some people even spend the night, overnight, and watch the tomb. They cannot be left alone. And they just, sing. They're not only just there just praying. Sometimes they're singing, they're telling jokes, they're remembering the loved ones, how,
Would you ever do that?
I would.
Stay in a cemetery?
Yeah. If it's I would. For my grandma's tomb, I'd be more than happy to stay. I don't know about myself, but if a couple people around me, my company, my family would be cool. But if not, if it's necessary to do something because of tradition, maybe I'm not aware of and we needed to do that, I'll be okay. I think, you know what? You know what's more terrifying sometimes? People are afraid of the dead when they're already gone, where the live ones are the ones that live more snaky. Just saying. The ones that can really get you. We just kind of think that the dead ones can get us, but really, the live ones, the live people. I'm just saying. So again, throughout Mexico, there's different ways. People celebrate different ways depending on what area you're at. Some people make tamales, some people make mole. I used to love the arroz con leche for whatever reason. Oh, and the pan. The pan, they make it a round shape with a cross usually in the pan. And it tastes different and it's so yummy and delicious. If you never spend... in comparison to Halloween, you can see the difference as to the longer and the meaning, especially still to this day, how Mexicanos, mostly Mexicanos, the bigger, and now not to mention it's a national holiday, how much they take it to heart. Because not only, like, it makes sense, right? That we can remember our mortality. Like, we're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
Remember the loved ones that passed away and remind it's beautiful that they were here and remember some of their memories. But at the same time, it's just not about getting candy and different things like that, because pretty much that's all it is now. It's all consumption. It's all buying a lot of candy. There's billions of dollars that are made every year. Nothing wrong with it. It helps the economy. More power to it. But you see the significance of it, right? Mexican culture, Dia de los Muertos is a different type of vibe. It's more about realizing mortality, more deeper and older, and to know that like we get to remember our loved ones that passed away. And it's a beautiful, if you didn't remember them the entire year, it'll be a beautiful time to do so.
Yeah.
And so that way we can, talk about, things like that.
Yeah, it'd be nice since we're so busy throughout the year.
It is. Everybody gets busy. And there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody gets busy and occupied with their own life. It's just what happens. All right. So we're going to go to the differences of Dia de los Muertos and Halloween. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you read Dia de los Muertos and I'm going to read Halloween. So Dia de los Muertos, when is it celebrated?
It's celebrated between October 28th and November 2nd.
And for Halloween, it's October 31st. When is the origin?
The origin was originated in Mexico and celebrated throughout Latin America.
The origin of ancient, for Halloween, is ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. What about the purpose?
The purpose of Dia de los Muertos is to celebrate, honor, and remember deceased loved ones.
In the beginning, the festival was to ward off ghosts for Halloween and evolve into the night of costume partying and trick-and-treating. And I think you got to exit to see the other ones. But what are some of the symbols for Dia de los Muertos?
One symbol is a sugar skull. Another is the ofrenda, so the altar that contains photographs and other objects of the departed or loved ones.
And the cempasúchil flor, which is, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll be able to see the other one. Sorry. It was a big old picture. I couldn't put it. What were the other ones? The cempasúchil is a flower. Okay, so read me the other difference.
All right, another one is the monarch butterflies that believed to house spirits of those who have died.
Okay, so check this out. Okay, so the monarch butterfly, you know what that is?
Yeah.
It's like the orange and black butterfly, right? Mm-hmm. So it migrates from the U.S. close to the Rocky Mountains, makes its way almost 3,000 miles all the way to central Mexico.
Wow.
And the end of its journey is closer to November 1st, 2nd, the end of it. And a lot of people see it as to being some of the souls of our loved ones coming back. And that's where they come. And, it's crazy to me that they tie it. I never knew. I knew about the monarch butterfly. Yeah. I didn't know how far they had to travel. Not to mention how people saw it as a symbol for, the spirits coming back and actually making their way back to Mexico. That's wild, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, so for the symbols for Halloween, pumpkin, of course, the jack-o'-lantern, witches, spirits, black cats, skeleton, ghosts, candy, orange and black colors. Women that want to get extra, wear less clothes, and be okay with it, not judge. Just saying. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying that's part of the culture now. What about costumes?
Well, costumes for Dia de los Muertos, they dress up as skeletons, paint their faces to look like colorful skulls. They might wear suits and fancy dresses and noisemakers.
And the Catrina is part of the history of the sugar skull, the Catrina. One day we'll do a deep dive on the Catrina itself, and then that day, because I know you wanted to do the other Muertos separately, because I'm pretty sure you wanted to paint your face as a sugar skull.
Or a mask.
So we're going to do that at a later time. But the Catrina is like a political symbol of a cartoon that they took. And that's where they took the idea. And that's where the origin of the sugar skulls came from. How about that?
Nice.
It's pretty cool. Costumes, again, for Halloween is a little bit of everything. You can pretty much anything that's trendy, really. Scarecrows, witches, pumpkins. That's the traditional ones. But everybody now... Squid Games, I'm pretty sure is going to be the number one for this. I haven't seen the series. It's number one already. I seen. I didn't miss. I didn't miss. I already knew it was gonna be number one for costume for this year. Yeah. That movie just what? How long? How is the series? A couple. So, but how long did they premiere? Not that long ago, was it? That's wow. And less than a month already, before even Halloween, it's about to hit. It's already boom
With 9 episodes.
with 9 episodes. I haven't watched one episode,
Me either.
but I heard it's cool. Man, I'm gonna have to get Netflix again. I don't wanna, just so I can be cool. You know what's
Spend
a?
that
You know what's
money.
a? What is it? What you say,
Spend
back
that
when?
money.
Nah, it's not that much, but I don't want to. The less subscriptions I get, the better. Okay, so within our human nature, it's part of us to be part of everything else that's going on, like to feel cool and be inclusive within, right? So if everybody's watching the Squid Games or anything else that's going on that's popular, we feel weird somewhere in there in our minds. Our psyche is like, oh man, I gotta be part of it. We feel left out. And I think it's like a survival mechanism because we can't fit in with our tribe and we get left out and we can be eaten by predators. So I think it's like a deep rooted psyche thing that we have to be part of, or we're going to be left out, or we could be like disappear
For most people.
for most people. But you don't have to. But if you do and find yourself, there's a reason why. It's a psychological part of it. It's just not just because you're part of the trend. Everybody's part of the trend because they want to be part of it and be inclusive and not exclusive. You don't have to be, but if you find yourself in that place, there's a reason why. All right. What about food? Comparison, Dia de los Muertos. What kind of food do we have?
Food for Dia de los Muertos is pan de muerto, which is bread of the dead, sugar skulls, tamales, and favorite foods of late family members.
Yeah. So for tradition for Halloween, candy, the traditional candy corn, pumpkin pie latte. That's another psych. That's a whole episode of food theory that he told me about that explains all this about pumpkin latte. Y'all don't even know that there wasn't real pumpkin pie in the drink until a few years back. And it's all a psychological thing too that Starbucks sold you on. The feeling of winter and all that is just like a whole
Pumpkin spice.
It's not even that. It's just like the feeling of being into the spirit, knowing that Thanksgiving is here. It's like nostalgia type of feeling that it gives you. It's not even the drink itself. And did you know that it has very little coffee compared to every drink that Starbucks has very little coffee in it. It has coffee, but it is so deep in there that somebody might have just had a piece of coffee and like, all right, here we go. Here's your pumpkin latte.
So is that why you have to ask for like extra shots?
Because it doesn't have a lot. Yeah, that's true. It's more, I don't know if it's sugar. I guess you can ask for sugar-free, but it's more of the flavor itself and all the stuff that it triggers in your head that you start remembering that you really like about the drink. Not necessarily the drink itself or the coffee.
Yeah, Starbucks is smart.
They are smart. They have a whole department just dedicated for things like that. That's crazy, right?
Do they have psychologists?
I'm pretty sure some of their people they do that have a little bit of it. They do. Well, I know Facebook does. They have people that gambling people, all those they have it in there. Anyways, you're not being sold on the drink itself. You're being sold on the experience and the memory of it. All right. Candy for Halloween, as I mentioned before, pumpkin pie. Before I went on a rant about pumpkin latte, caramel and candy apples, apple cider. You like apple cider?
Yeah. I
Do
like
you?
apple cider, yeah.
It's not that bad, but I don't know about I mean, it's all right. I don't know if I did. I used to like caramel apples, candy apples. Did you like them?
Oh, yeah.
They were good, right?
Those
Did you
are
like the green
best.
ones? The green ones are the ones that make it, right? They don't make it with both, or do they make?
No,
it
they
with
do
both?
make it both.
I like the green
green and
one
red.
better. Yep, I like the green one better. And what are the as far as remembering Dia de los Muertos for you? Is that pretty much what y'all did? What we talked about here, or
Yeah.
is it something different?
No, we did pretty much everything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma, she had a whole collection that she would keep in a shelf, covered up so it wouldn't get dirty or anything. And she had a whole sugar skull collection.
Really?
Just little stuffed animals, little trinkets, or statues. And I actually started my own, so.
Really? That's pretty cool. Are you gonna do ofrenda this year?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah, it's going to be a little small, but I'm going to
With your
start
pictures of your loved ones?
one. Yeah.
That's cool.
Especially my grandma. You know, she was born on Halloween.
The 31st?
Mm-hmm.
That's not your great grandma. No, that's your grandma that was like
Yeah.
107.
Yeah, not my great grandma. My grandma.
107, your grandma.
She was born in 1895 and passed in 2002. So this year is actually her 19th year on the October 17th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so remind me again. So your mom, they're all born here, right? And your dad's side too? And your mom's side?
On my mom's side, they're all born in Mexico.
Mexico. But your
And
dad's
my mom.
and your dad's side, they were born
They've been here since Texas
way
was
before.
Mexico. Yeah.
Oh man, that is wild to
So
me.
they never left.
All right. So what about? Did you see the difference now? Did you see? Remember what you was telling me about how we could do them different, and you see the reason why we want them doing together, like Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, because they're real close and similar history. Kind of like salsa and kind of like cumbia have similar stories. It just depends on the area. They just vary a little bit. They're both connected to religion, pagan, and traditions that they had. Mix them together. It makes sense because we're so close to each other here in the United States and Mexico that we are intertwined. And now the fact that movies are coming out like Coco and different movies from Disney, they show and showcase the way that we do stuff that brings light to the world. How this is a global Latin factor. That the fact that this day can be something put into worthy of a very successful movie, which was Coco, and I like it a lot. I do.
I loved it.
My nephew loves that movie. I think every time I go visit his house, they're playing that movie, and I'll be like, "Stay watching too." I'll be watching too because it's a good movie. The whole story itself, and then again, if you ever thought about kind of wanting to understand a little bit more, it's a different type of story because they had to have a storyline. But if you remove the characters and you see all the stuff that they do, because you see the ofrenda, what was the lady Mama?
Oh.
What was her name? Mama Coco, right?
Maybe.
It was, right? That was her name. Well, she has her ofrenda. She has the pictures.
Yeah, they have a lot of details around. They really put in a lot of work.
There's people
to
in the cemetery. If you see some of the scenes there, you see the flores, the flowers, how it kind of uses for the bridge, which kind of talked about a little bit how they use that for the muertitos, the people that passed away to find their way.
Yeah.
So it's like crazy to me how accurate they were as far as the way it's supposed to be for Dia de los Muertos. So I'll be like,
yeah, I get in my feelings when I watch it.
why is that?
Because it's so spot on.
It is.
It reminds me of my grandma and my family.
You know why it was so successful, I think? Because the same thing, one of my comadres told me the same thing. She referenced Coco. You know how Coco and that how grandma used to do the same thing. And I think that's the reason why a lot of us, when you see that, go back to our grandmas and see that it's so close. And it hits home so hard.
It does.
They'll be like, oh, wow. I cried. I cried in that movie. I did. It was sad. When he had to go.
I cried. I've cried every time I've seen it.
And whenever he finally was able to make it back, and she was able to like see the picture, and she sang that song, and she cried. Oh, that hit. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a Mexicano, man. I was born in Mexico. I'm a hombre, like a man's man. But you know what? I cry. Don't cry right now. I know you behind the veil. I can see them tears, but it's okay.
My mascara is running.
It's so dope.
You know what other movie was made?
Which one?
La Llorona.
Yeah, about that movie. I told you about that movie. That is true. And I told you about the vibes of people filming that movie, that they sense some weirdness happening.
That's my tia, her sons actually tried to get her to go see it. And she
movie?
She just started doing this. She's like, no, I'm not going.
I regret the day that I saw The Exorcist.
Me too.
I just don't. I watched another movie the other day. I forget what it's called. I think it's Victoria or Carolina or something like that on Netflix, which is about the same thing about somebody being possessed.
That's where I draw the line in possessions.
I know a story about that happened about somebody that happened. And yeah, it's not Again, I don't understand it. All those weird stories, energies, ghosts, and all that. I'll believe y'all when y'all tell me y'all did, but I don't want no part of it. I'm okay with not being gifted with that. I'm okay with just not being able to see ghosts, see dead people, see spirits and stuff like that, you know?
You know what? I've actually heard a lot of crazy things happen in Mexico. And you know what? Probably the one reason why I probably could see something is because my mom has actually seen something. I forgot about that.
Okay, tell me about that.
Yeah, my grandpa, her father, he lived in Mexico, and right next door, I think it was one of my tias or tios. Somebody lived next door, so both of them were our family
Yeah.
homes. My mom said that she actually woke up once to her sister screaming and being dragged out of the room, and she couldn't see what was pulling her, but my
Yeah.
tia was being dragged by her feet out the door. So my mom, she had to get up and, pull her back in, which kind of explains, thinking back, why whenever we went back and I was older,
Uh-huh.
because that happened before I was born, which, that explains now why whenever I went back after my grandpa passed away, and I noticed the door of the house next to it was in chains, and they had a big lock on it. So nobody ever went back in there.
Yeah, with good reason. I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to go in there either.
Because apparently there was something buried in the yard or in the wall, somewhere out back. And anytime you try to get near it is when something happens.
Okay, so there's we're not trying to scare you. This is the Halloween episode, so we're gonna give you some real. So here's another story that you're gonna trip out. So back in the revolutionary times where Zapata and Pancho Villa, all of them were roaming around, they used to steal gold and they used to have to hide it. So they have to bury the gold at times. And you know how we are, people. We want to up one. We want to outsmart the man and think that we are better than. So Pancho Villa and Zapata, a lot of time we used to ask the men, because they had to go and fight and whatever they had to do. It's like, who wants to watch my gold? And of course the smart ones will be like, me. Like, okay, come here. The gold, they have to dig a big old gold. They put the crates of gold or whatever. Bah! Killed a couple of them right there, and their bodies will be on top of it, and just they bury the gold. So
What'd they do that for?
so they can watch the gold
Forever.
forever.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So anytime there's stories of people that found gold before, that whenever they find the gold and dig it out, there's always body like bones and stuff remains, and that's the reason why.
Maybe that's what happened.
And of course, with that comes the ghosts that didn't want to let go, and stories like that.
Wow.
There's stories of people where I'm from that found that they can't really confirm or deny if they found gold or not. But supposedly there's gases that build up whenever you find gold. There's got to be a certain way. I don't know how to dig it out, but there's got to be a certain way to dig it out, because when they used to put it also not only in crates but in their containers made out of barro, clay, and they put the gold in there. And some, for whatever reason, build some kind of gas. So anytime they dig in there, the gases go into you, and apparently they're really poisonous.
So they're
And
toxic.
It causes illness, and even though you get the money, you're forever will be having health issues.
Oh, man.
So if you know a story about somebody that found some gold that all of a sudden, like, they were not well off, and all of a sudden they became somewhat well off, but they got really sick, that's most likely the reason why. And in Mexico, throughout Mexico, there's a lot of stories like that, I guarantee you. So if you know somebody, even in South America, if you know somebody, comment, let us know wherever you're listening to, if you heard of a story like that, because I know for a fact, almost for certain, that you have, or you know somebody that has. And it will be interesting to know your story. So give us a like, share, send us a message, let us know about your story, and we'll be more than happy to tell you here. All right, what other story you have? That's all the ones you have? Spooky stuff? Chris, one you have. Okay, what about, tell me about black cats. Because for whatever so part of Halloween is that your, what do they call that? Superstitions.
Yeah.
So you believe in that?
No. So there's some like the black cat, the mirror,
Yep, break the
the
mirror. You have
ladder,
7
or the
years of bad
stairs.
luck.
If you walk under stairs.
Bad luck too. Black cat, something happened to you.
I don't believe that one.
I don't believe that either. I think a lot of I told you before, I think the mental, even though we don't fully understand it, if you get in your mind that something bad is going to happen to you, like most likely something's bad going to happen to you.
Yeah,
Instead of just saying.
I heard because of that, black cats, pobrecitos, they get left behind at the shelters.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I'll take them. I think they're cute.
I'm not a big cat person really. I never really have. I don't know. Maybe just me. So you have. Don't become a cat lady now. They'll be your fit right here.
50 cats.
This be your fit. Go outside with your. Oh my God! Imagine
with
that.
all my cat tribe.
Imagine posting outside with all your cats looking like that. Ooh, it'd be terrifying. All right. Any last thoughts of Dia de los Muertos? Did it clarify to you? Do you see the similarities and the difference why people would think it's close to the same thing, but it's really not?
Yeah.
The dates itself is real close. The fact that they celebrate martyrs, dead people, our previous ancestors that passed away, real close.
Mm-hmm.
One was pagan. What can I just keep saying that word? Mixed it up. Pagan holidays mixed with Christian. One was Aztec, Olmec, and all that energies mixed with Catholic religion, all that.
And then Halloween's more fun. It
is. Dia de las Brujas in Mexico. We used to make, okay, so it's another story before we leave. We had pumpkin, but it wasn't the same kind of pumpkin. Ours it's a type of pumpkin, but they're green. They're big oval green ones. Uh-huh. So we used to do the same thing. We used to carve everything out and make a face out of it. Dig a hole, and where we live is like a little hill, and you can carve a hole. So we used to carve our freaking little tunnel, carve all that out, get the pumpkins, get everything out, cut the face, and light a candle and put them there.
Aw.
Yeah. That's what we used to do when I was growing up.
Hey, you know what? I think maybe by the end of this month, me and you should decorate our own pumpkins and then bring them. See who has the better pumpkin.
I don't know.
I'm not that good, but
you win.
I
don't know if I'll do it. See, I'll go all out because I've done it before, and I go for the throat. I have a freaking robot pumpkin.
We'll be fighting.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying I'm pretty good because I did it before at a job it was at, and we made a pumpkin, and I had to grow arms and everything. I'm telling you, maybe we won't do that.
Pumpkin king.
Yeah, maybe we'll move on to the next Latino. Okay, anything else? Last final thoughts for the Halloween versus Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead comparison. I hope by the end of the episode you were able to tell the difference, why it's sometimes confused, and I can very much see why, but the tradition itself is a little bit more in-depth and more traditional as far as like being more meaningful for Dia de los Muertos, because even though it began like that with Halloween, it lost its meaning, but Dia de los Muertos still to this day, even its origins from 3,000 plus whatever it was, estimated time, and we still see it that way. So yeah, it's not the same. Similar, but not.
Yeah.
And I hope you were able to tell. Anything else, Vira?
That's it.
Where can they find you at?
They can find me on Instagram, DJ_Vira, or on Facebook, DJ Vira.
All right, let's stand up real quick for the camera, see if we can catch us. Check our fit. I got my cane. I'm supposed to be El Catrín. And then this is La Llorona, which she nailed it, by the way. It's beautiful. And the Catrín, anytime you see the Catrín, you're not supposed to be like able to, you're not supposed to be able to see his face, kind of like this, like he don't want you to look at him. And she's just standing a little hunched over a little bit. There you go, like that. And perfecto. Alrighty. So again, remember, follow us on all the social media. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube for more content. So what I found is that a lot of the Latinos that we have, they only have interviews in Spanish, or they don't even have an episode at all whatsoever. And even though we're doing it, the majority of this a good 98% in English. We know Spanish, but we prefer to do it for the meantime, all in English, the episodes. But if you recommend to do it in Spanish, again, the only reason why I'm doing the English version is because English is a little bit more dominant, and a lot of our younger generation Latinos know English more. So this will be a perfect place for you to learn something, because maybe you get discouraged that you try to look up somebody that's Latino and all of a sudden you really don't understand what they're talking about because it's not. Well, here you go. This is a place where you can find English content for the most part that talks about a Latino that you might have not known about, not only in the States, but in the world, that made a contribution. And of course, we're going to continue bringing episodes about that. It would be greatly appreciated if you do subscribe to the channel and you all follow us on social media. We had a big spike thanks to Grupo Ave. So all you that are new to the channel, thank you very much. We're going to have more artists and different people to come out and talk about our culture so you can better understand what is it that we do. Like right now, intertwining the Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, because in Mexico they do celebrate. So it's all global. And that's the reason why we call it the Global Latin Factor Podcast. This is another episode of the Global Latin Factor Podcast. Remember, we are the spice in this global melting pot. It is the world. Until next time.